Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, Team Mosso at the1916company.com. It is in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for inquiring about this or any of our watches. Email tmosso at the1916company.com for pricing. Today, we discuss a short-lived classic made from only 2003 to 2005, but it became a legend, not because of its finish, fit, or materials, although all of those are superlative, but because godlike watchmaker Philippe Dufour, arguably the greatest of his craft alive, chose this as his personal timepiece. Philippe Dufour loves the fact that this watch has been nicknamed the Dufourograph, and I know that because he told me. So, what do you get when you buy the watch of Dufour made by Lange? You get a lot, but it's not big. 39 millimeters in diameter in rose gold. This rose gold black dial combo is Dufour's choice. 39 by 13.2 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip. 47.5 millimeters with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. The watch wears relatively, I would say, stubby. It's got the apparent thickness, but not actual thickness, to give you the impression that it's going to have trouble clearing a cuff. But at only 13.2 with a sort of set-in caseback and a domed bezel, it's more like wearing a 12 millimeter thick watch. It will slide under a cuff. On my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, you can see that the lugs come nowhere near the edge, so I can recommend this for a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference. Over the top, even from this angle, which exaggerates the width of the watch, and I am pulling the strap tight, the lugs are still not beyond the edge of my wrist. The watch features large rectangular scale, symmetrical scale, alligator leather, the most expensive cut of the beast, dark brown, matte finish. You can see that there is some stuffing or bolstering to give it volume, a monotone stitch, a folded edge, and then on the bottom, calf skin, a Lange factory strap, no crimping, no gouging, and a rare upcharge option. These normally come with pin buckles. Somebody decided to buy this one with a full clasp and would have paid four-figure euros to own it. So this is a wonderful upgrade over the standard pin buckle that adds to the heft of the watch on the wrist, but also to the security, as a deployant clasp forms a loop around your wrist, so even when you take it off, it can't fall off your wrist. Great for donning or removing with security by your bedside each night and morning. Now, the case is legendarily Lange. Gunter Blumlein, one of the founders of the modern Lange Sohne back in 1990, thought the company needed some sort of design signature. And so when the first modern Lange watches were presented in the fall of 1994, they featured this notched lug style, so stepped out from the case band. The case itself is cylindrical. Everything is polished. The bezel has a vertical lip and then a domed profile. And like I said, the case back is set back. So when it is on the wrist, that sinks down and the watch is thinner than the bare measurement. The crown is very simple. It's branded Lange Sohne. And then we have pushers for the chronograph, one of which resets and restarts. Because this is a flyback chronograph, you do not have to stop, reset, and restart. You can do it with a single press of the trigger, which is great if you're timing events that occur in very rapid succession. Now, in vintage fashion, we have the tachymeter on the dial side. So what you do is you start the chronograph when, say, a race car begins a kilometer, and then you stop the chronograph when the race car finishes the kilometer. And so you can see that race car would be going just over 240 kilometers per hour. Now, surprise, surprise, though it's a dress watch, it does feature a reasonable amount of luminescence. So between the lume, the flyback function, and the tachymeter, this is one of the sportiest dress watch dials you're going to encounter. Now, you can see that the dial has several different focal planes. The sunken sub-registers, the raised applique indices and numerals and date window, and then there's this upwardly stepped track outboard for the tachymeter. The dial is made of sterling silver that has been blackened. So the dial is actually made of precious metal. Now you have a pusher up here for the panorama datum, and it has a wonderful feel to it. It's very positive, like a fine column wheel chronograph, but why compare when you can have both? On the reverse side, we have a fine column wheel chronograph. A snick, snick, snick type of action, like the manual transmission of a 1997 3.2-liter Acura or Honda NSX. It's the kind of thing you buy the watch just to enjoy. Now, the watch also features a hacking or stop seconds function. So you pull the crown, everything stops. You could set the watch to a reference time. Flipping it over one more time, this is the legendary caliber L951. This is the 9511. When this movement debuted on the original Datograph at Basel 1999, it was breathtaking. It literally forced Patek Philippe more than anyone else to reconsider its use of customer calibers on its chronographs, and this movement sounded the death knell for the Lemagne-based Patek Philippe chronograph. Many other brands quietly reassessed their need to finish to a higher level in the new era of display casebacks that was well underway by the late 90s. Lange had a huge head start. Now, technically speaking, manual wind, 36-hour power reserve, instantaneous jumping minutes, column wheel with lateral clutch, 18,000 vibrations per hour, 5-position adjustment, and we have an overcoil hairspring, so the watch will keep consistent time in any orientation on the wrist. It pivots on 40 joules, and all of this is 30 meters water resistant. Now, finishing, what have we got here? Well, everything that's silver or mirror finished is made of steel. So you have black polished cap to the escape wheel, a black polished spring, and a little eccentric adjuster for the chronograph clutch. You can see that's been mirror finished, so is the swan's neck fine adjustment mechanism and the stud holder. You can also see that we have a spring atop the bridge for the minute counter that has been mirror finished, and you can see that the column wheel and its crenellated towers and its fixing screw are all mirror finished. The steel components of the chronograph works, levers, hammers, horns, and the clutch itself have been satinated on their top and then mirror beveled on their side. And take note right here, we have interior angles pulled off on a steel structure. It's difficult to create those creases even on brass and German silver. Doing it on confines like that in steel, the ultimate sign of the finisher's art taken to the state of the art. Now, what else do we have? We have German silver bridges and plates, this golden hued material, nickel copper zinc with copper giving it its golden hue. It's a throwback to the pocket watch era of Lange watchmaking, way of connecting today's watches with antiquity. We have a freehand engraved balance cock because that's how it would have been done historically. You could see there's a little flower motif around the fire-blued screw that fixes the balance cock in place. And no two of these are exactly alike because they are done freehand, eye-hand coordination with a burin. There's engine turning on the base plate, and if you look, you can see that there's mirror beveling on both the German silver bridges and on the steel chronograph components. Screws are fired to turn them blue, but then we also have black polished screws, and here's how you tell the difference. So all of the polished screws are used for some sort of adjustment, whereas all the blued screws are used for fixing things physically in place. We have Streifen across the bridges because we're not in Switzerland. We're not going to call them Côte de Genève. And then we have little golden cups called chatons. Historically, it would have been difficult to precision set a jewel into a bridge or plate, so a precision golden cup would be made, the jewel would be pressed into that, and then that would be placed in the slots in the bridges and plates, fixed by screws. And so Lange uses these, even on the chronograph clutch, for nostalgic reasons. There's been some speculation that chaton might slightly improve the shock resistance of a modern watch, but I've never seen that substantiated. I think we just do it because it's beautiful. And Philippe Dufour agrees. If you feel as Philippe did, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.